So I know that this seems like a big number, and to a lot of people, this statistic is kind of startling. That it's 1 in 4, 25% of women will have an abortion before they turn 45 in the United States. The reason this seems so high and is so shocking to people is because women don't talk about their experiences with abortion because it's so stigmatized. Women feel ashamed and scared to share their experiences, but this is harmful because then people don't really know who is the most affected by unplanned pregnancies. So I want to share, I want to share a story with you about a woman named Brittany. She is a Black woman, and in 2007, she just had her third child, her third daughter. 4 months later, she found out that she was pregnant again. And she knew that she could not financially, emotionally, or physically support another child while supporting 3 other daughters, one of whom was only 4 months old. So she decided to get an abortion. This was not an easy decision for her. She felt sad and upset and ashamed to tell her story because she was already a mother, and this was a really hard decision for her to make. But she had to do it in order to support herself and the other kids she already had. So I want to mention something, that 59% of women who receive abortions are already mothers. This means that they already have a family to support, they already have children, and oftentimes they're already struggling financially. So next, I want to point out that Black women receive the most abortions of anyone in the United States. Following that is Hispanic women, and then other groups of non-white women. So we can see that the women who are receiving the most abortions are oftentimes Black women who are more likely to experience sexual assault. They're more likely to experience intimate partner violence, and oftentimes they live in more lower income communities. 49% of women who received an abortion in 2014 fell below the federal poverty level. And the federal poverty level for a family of 4 is about $25,000 a year. So, and 37% of women of color make up the low-wage workforce. So we can see that the women who are receiving the most abortions are oftentimes women who are living in poverty, who are already mothers with a family to support. This makes it hard for them to make the decision, and these aren't women who don't want children. These are women who already have children. So, some reasons, I've talked a lot about why people might get an abortion, some of the reasons surrounding that, and I want to talk a little bit about some reasons why someone might not get an abortion. Some people's religious views will oppose getting an abortion, and their moral views will oppose getting an abortion, and so they'll choose not to. Someone also might choose not to get an abortion if they have financial freedom, meaning they have the money to support a child. Maybe their pregnancy was unplanned, but if they have the money and they feel like they're ready, they may choose to keep the child. So next, we can't have a discussion about abortion without talking about the two sides. So I want to point out something that makes it hard for pro-life and pro-choice to agree on anything. Pro-life sees abortion as a human rights issue, and pro-choice sees abortion as a women's rights issue. These are two separate spheres, and this is what makes it so hard for the two sides to have a discussion. They're operating on two separate planes. However, one thing that both sides can agree on that isn't commonly talked about is that both sides are looking to see a decrease in abortion rates. Nobody wants to see an increase in abortion rates, and it's also important to note that 1 in 4 is actually a decrease since just 2000. Both sides want to see less women having abortions because it's better for women and it's better for children. The discrepancy comes on how to execute this. Oftentimes, pro-life will be seen fighting for criminalization of abortion. This seems like the most straightforward and common sense way to decrease rates of abortion. Simply make it inaccessible. However, we've seen that a criminalization of abortion, meaning abortion is illegal, doesn't actually decrease rates of abortion. It just makes it unsanitary and unsafe because women can no longer access abortion in safe clinical settings. The best way to decrease rates of abortion is to make access to contraception and to education about contraception more widespread and more normalized. If we want to see a decrease in abortion rates, what needs to happen is a prevention of unplanned and unwanted pregnancies in the first place. And the best way to do this is to educate people about the methods of contraception that are available to them and to make methods of contraception more available to marginalized communities who need them the most. According to a study done by Washington University School of Medicine, who gave free contraception to a large group of women, they estimated that if women had free or cheap access to contraception, it would decrease rates of abortion by a range of 62 to 78% as compared to the national average. That is a huge decrease and something that everyone wants. So we know that if we want to see a decrease in abortion rates, which both sides do, the best way to execute that is to increase access to contraception. Thank you.